Okay, we're live, go ahead.
Okay, it's 5:30. And I call the meeting of the Union Township Advisory Board to order. We've got two groups of meeting minutes to approve. We've got, and I emailed out the January 6th meeting minutes. To all board members. Any additions or corrections on those meeting minutes? Do I have a motion to approve them?
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
You can't second.
Okay, well, okay. He made the motion, I seconded it.
Technically, I can't, because I wasn't here.
Okay, let's do this again. You made a motion to approve the minutes from January. I'll second the motion. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January, say aye.
Aye.
Also
Okay.
abstain?
Be nice, Marcel.
No.
No,
So
you
I was
have
being
to,
nice,
you
you
have to
abstain.
abstain because you weren't on the,
Okay,
That is
January meeting minutes. have been
keeping you
approved.
legal, bro.
You and your legal meetings.
Keeping
Right. Okay, we have February 24th meeting minutes that were sent out, and I know Mike's seen them. Do we have any addition or corrections to the February 24th meeting minutes? If not,
I move when we accept.
okay, Mike makes a motion to accept them. George can second them.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the February meeting? Okay, passed. January and February meeting minutes been approved. Shouldn't have to be that difficult.
It'll get smoother soon.
I hope so. I hope so. Okay, let's go along with new business. We have a resolution for the equipment replacement fund, which will be resolution 2026-06. And I know that we had discussed this, I'm gonna say in a December meeting, but I'll let Kelly talk about it a little bit.
so we're just, we had to do our introduction of it, our hearing, which we've already done. That was in our January, February meeting. Then we had to wait the allowed time. It's been advertised in the two papers.
Mhm.
So now it's just up for vote on whether you want to increase the levy for the equipment replacement fund to the maximum of what the state will allow of 0.0333, which will be
1/100% greater
exactly,
than what it was.
exactly. So you're looking at, I mean, maybe with 20 cents on 100.
Yeah, it's a very minuscule number. I'll make a motion to approve
I'll second.
resolution 2606. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Resolution's passed. Do we have any other new business that we need to discuss?
There would be new business from the standpoint of employment.
Okay, Andy, would you like to address the employment?
We have currently, as we talked before, one of our guys is leaving to go to St. Joe. We have offered a job, and tentatively we've got an acceptance to replace Andrew, and we went ahead and offered a second person. And because we know Troy's leaving
Sometime in the very
next
near future.
60 to 90 days.
Mhm.
So, and he has tentatively answered back as a yes. So
Okay,
we've tentatively got two new guys coming on board,
and they'll come on as soon as possible.
probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, yes.
Okay,
Who were they?
Well,
One
they
is-
haven't accepted yet, so we
Yeah,
can't.
I can't say anything yet.
Say yeah, Mike.
okay.
And then you brought on 3 part-time.
Yeah, we added 3 part-time personnel, and they've all accepted and should be starting. One of them's already started, a couple of them start in the next week or 2.
Okay.
One thing that I discussed with the chief yesterday, well, him and Travis, the assistant, was just, I wanted him to give us a staffing model, of how we want to further our staffing. And that'll go into your other discussion of the ambulance. With the ambulance coming back, it's been said, do we do it with 3 or do we do it with 4? So I will let him explain the reasonings.
Well, I mean, we're looking at, we'd like minimum the staffing to be 4, whether we go 3 full-time and 1 part-time, or how that goes to operate both, to keep both the fire truck and the ambulance operating. We need 4 people. The fire, if we did get a fire, both the ambulance and the fire truck would roll or whatever, but there's gonna be cross-trained people. Where we get into a little is where if we just stick with what we got now, the 2 full-time and the part-time, we wouldn't be able to staff. We have a tough time staffing 1 truck, let alone the whole truck. So bringing the ambulance back is very heavy on,
That's a big load.
very dependent on getting the staffing level up.
I think that's a great idea myself. I think, and this is my opinion, I think that we need to work on getting the ability for our staff to be involved in a perf pension. So we might not be comparable with others like Clay, South Bend, Mishawaka, Penn now, and St. Joe County Fire with the pay, but with the benefits, we would be comparable, because what we're seeing, even with these 2 people leaving, I know one left for another department because of the pension largely, and I know another one left more for personal reasons. He's moving out of the area. I mean, he wants to move north into Michigan, which is fine. But I think if we could come to the point where we can afford a comparable pension plan, even though our base pay is gonna be a little less, that we're gonna be able to retain employees better instead of being, and I hate to use the word a training ground, but I hate to, have people come here for a period of time and they really enjoy the job, but they can make better money and a better pension somewhere else. If we can get at least the ability, and this is a whole nother topic, but of getting a pension comparable, then they may be more inclined to stay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
The
think,
discussion, I mean,
I feel for 2027,
right,
that is an avenue we need to be looking
Right.
at. Because we've kind of done a disservice to these people, putting them in just a regular state pension
well,
instead of police and fire pension, which gives them a lot better
I-
benefit and
I
potential
agree.
longevity.
right, that's what I want. My thought is you can come here and you can make this a career instead of a job.
Mhm.
And you can come here and you can work 20 years and that could be your career. The other thing I think, and I see it pretty well in the time I spend when I come and go here, that people enjoy it. They're having fun. And if you can, even though you might make a little less money, your pension is the same and you enjoy your work, you're gonna be tending to stay here than to go somewhere else, make more money, but by God, that was a rough place to work. Man, I think we all are seasoned enough to know that. And that would be a goal of, personally, that's how I feel. So is that something that we want to do? Do we want to look into the cost of the pension for our employees? And I'm sure that's gonna open up a whole other can of worms, because we have some people that aren't gonna be eligible for a perf pension.
Right.
And how can we make it fair to them dollar wise?
Are we talking 77? Is that what we're talking? Okay,
Yes.
so if I inquired with some other trustees that have done it. So what you can do is, since we already have members that are already in the perf, if you do switch over to, you can correct me on this, to the 77, then you can still retain your perf employees under that perf program. The problem is that as you start hiring new people in, they have to qualify for 77.
Right.
So it now has tied your hands that you're gonna get people that are either part of the 77 or is it 36 and younger?
40.
40, I know.
40 now, yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing we have to look at. Now, everybody that's already employed will remain in the PERF,
State. Yeah.
the state PERF,
Mhm.
but then we would then be able to open. We would definitely need to look at that at budget time, because you're looking, I think, at
That's a very,
26%.
well, you would have to set your pension base,
Just read.
so that's
Right,
It's
65%,
26%.
then it goes 26% on top of that.
So I mean, that's definitely something we're gonna wanna start looking into now, so that when it comes to budget, we can see what we have available. But going back to the employees, I know when we set our budget this year, we did it with having 3 on staff at all times. That would have been 2 full-time for every crew and then 1 part-time. So I ran the numbers that if we went to the 3rd full-time for every shift, it shouldn't affect us too much. And then the 4th will just definitely be coming out of that bond money for EMS. So we'll have to shift monies for EMS. Basically, we're gonna have to go for additional appropriations if we're adding a 4th as a part-time. And that's fine. We'll do that, because I mean, that's what was instructed of me
Mhm.
through the budget process last year, was just take your bare minimum and then come back for the need. But, I know there's been some question like, well, can we financially do it? Yes, we can, because we took that bond. And, you know, that's probably why I keep pushing the urgency of the ambulance coming back, is because this is now hitting our tax bills. That
Right.
bond is
No, I
now
agree.
hitting our tax bills. So people are gonna say, if we have a bond, we want the service.
Exactly.
But with that, I mean, me and Andy have had this discussion that there's some training that's gonna be involved. You're taking guys now off of a fire truck that are just working as the EMT on scene, and now training them to go to the back of an ambulance. So,
And even though we have a truck and there was a service that ran out of here, essentially we are starting a brand new service. So we have to jump through all the hoops at the state. We have to jump through all the hoops up at medical control. So far, I think we're making pretty good progress there. It's just the little things now. The truck needs new radios. The flashy lights didn't work, so
stuff like that.
it's just the little stuff right now. And then, yeah, the big components, getting the manpower and doing the training.
But currently, we would have a staff of 3,
Currently, as we run right now, we have a minimum staff of 2,
of 2.
and then we have a part-timer. And you know how that operates.
Yeah, that's hit or miss. It's 3 sometimes, but 2, and then that's the day you really wish you had 5 or greater. Why don't we, because the other, let's solve one problem first. Do we want to look into PERF and get some hard numbers for 4 people?
you can.
Is that what the board wants to do?
Yeah.
I think we need to look into that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
See cost.
I'll make a motion that we look into PERF and get some hard numbers for 4 people, the exact cost, because although it's April 1st, let's say, budget time's coming along in 3 months, and that's sneak up on us. And there's a little bit of background work that needs to be done before budget time. So let's get some hard numbers so we can budget. So I'll make a motion, we look into
I'll
PERF.
second it.
Second, all those in favor?
Bye.
Okay. So we'll look into PERF, and or other options. I mean, I think it's understood. And then at budget time, we can look at upping our staff. In the meantime, and there's a territory meeting scheduled soon, I think we need to bring this ambulance to the territory, because the territory was not originally set up to operate a transport vehicle. And we need to approach the town, since the township took this bond out to help fund an ambulance. And the town is not part of repayment on that bond. What is the town willing to do to offset that, to make up their share? Because they're part of a fire territory that doesn't provide medical transportation, yet the fire territory is desirous of medical transportation. So what does that, Marcel might be able to answer that. what does that look like as far as a territory when something like that happens?
I mean, if we're gonna provide it as part of the territory, then we provide it. If they wanna help offset the cost, they can. There's a number of ways we can work that out.
Okay,
I think we had talked before, they can contract for some different services or for some stuff. But the first step is to see what are they willing to do, if anything.
okay.
I mean, we can set the ambulance service up separate too.
And that might be a
which
thought,
assist
too.
Them in cover, cost covering options.
Right, but I think that's a conversation needs to be had, so the township isn't bearing the brunt of the expense for the EMS transport portion of the fire territory. And I would think in an ideal world, the fire territory would be organized in such a way to include that, but we're not at this time.
Yeah, I mean, the township can run it, and then the town can contract with the township, provide it.
Okay, I mean, there's 1,000 different ways, and these conversations will be had at the next territory meeting with the town. I know it was brought up at the last territory meeting, as far as equipment replacement and so on with the town-owned equipment and how they want to do that. And, this is just another layer onto that is if they're willing or wanting to be, have medical transportation service and be part of it, so. Okay.
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. The costs that are being incurred with getting this up to operational status, are those bills being kept separate so that we know what?
They
the
are
cost
being
of this is
kept
going to
separate.
be?
Unfortunately, when the DLGF granted us that bond, they did not understand that our fire territory did not operate the EMS. So when they gave me those funds, they said to throw it into the fire territory fund. They have to be separate. They have to be separated.
Right.
So I'm working alongside the DLGF. Maybe the recommendation of that is that we're just going to have their own sub accounts, that it would be like ambulance personnel, ambulance repairs, anything, ambulance supplies, and that's how we'll track it out of under the territory. Because the issue is when we take the bond out of the territory, it makes the territory look very bad. I mean, like, we don't have, many monies in there. So, I mean, right now, the 3 that we have employed out on shifts now are for fire EMT. I mean, they're running off fire trucks. But once we add that 4th one, we need to put a line item that basically they're being hired in for like the ambulance service, even though they can go both, but that we're taking the blunt of those monies from the bond.
Just so we can track what
Right.
this is costing us.
Right.
is what I'm-
Oh, I agree, yeah, it needs to be a separate entity in a sense, even though maybe
Yeah.
one and the same, but
Mhm.
so you know that piece, that's this expense.
Because the other questions that I had with Chief was, okay, we're gonna have to establish new software, so that when we take that software, then we can send it to billing. So there's a cost of all of that. And no, the territory shouldn't have to take on that burden if it's for the ambulance service. But then again, it's gonna come down to, once we start billing that through the agency, where does those monies get deposited back to?
Right.
So I mean, there's still some discussions that need to be had from the board on, and more so when the town decides if they want to be part
Figure
of
out
it.
what their desires are.
Mhm.
And I know that had been brought up the last territory meeting, and
Mhm.
there should be pondering those ideas, so when we have our next territory meeting, they would have
Right.
some answers to some questions that will be
Right.
brought forward. So,
So then are we looking at a 4th person to hire to start gearing up to?
You're gonna reopen the hiring process, correct?
Once we kind of get lay of the land on where we're at.
Right.
I think,
Currently, right now, we've taken, we've hired.
I think we're a little early on that until we find the disposition of how we're gonna, if we wanna be in the ambulance business and how we're gonna fund it.
Well, it's not a matter of if, we
Well,
are.
no, I
Because we
think we're
took
all
the bonds.
desirous of
Yeah.
being in the ambulance business. It's just, how are we gonna bring this into the territory, if we're gonna bring it into territory that was not designed for that?
Well, that has to be just, yeah.
And that,
until we
but
get the
until we get
discussion
those
with the
answers,
county.
those questions answered, I think we better
Right.
pump the brakes on, we can hire 3 for the fire, but the EMS portion is gonna be our wild card at this time.
How soon before you get that ambulance certified?
It's up to the state.
Right now.
You're waiting
the
on
state-
numbers,
So
aren't you?
the state came and inspected it. It passed everything except flashy lights didn't flash, so they wouldn't sign off on it. Right now it's currently at Betcher's. We're waiting on a part. We've been waiting on the part for now almost 3 weeks. When it comes in, they install it, comes back. All we gotta do is show the state that the lights flash. They'll sign off on it. Dr. Joyce and all them have signed off. It's ready to go. Then it just comes down to staffing and training. So, I mean, foreseeable this year, I would still like to see it sometime this summer, but I'm not putting a definite date.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah, we don't know we can put a definite date,
Way things are going, it better not.
but we need to keep loose.
No, I- we
Send
need-
that card forward.
Need to point it forward, right, I agree 100%.
Goes back and everything works.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so we've talked about that. Going back to the need, the St. Joe, I was in conversation with some county officials, and the feeling is that St. Joe County is gonna remain in the ambulance business for the foreseeable future. They haven't necessarily said, and at the end of 2027 or some date, we're not gonna renew any contracts to provide paramedic service to St. Joe County. So that's also a little bit of a sigh of relief, because I think the system that we've got in play now with the EMTs on staff and going out like we are, being non-transport, everything but the ambulance is working for really well. I think we've got an outstanding service.
But it's been very professional from what I've seen.
I've heard that,
Operating on the trucks, with the trucks, being at the scenes.
I've heard that from more than
I
one.
think it's very professional.
You know, from people who don't know, I've heard that, which is, don't know, understand emergency services, and that, to me, that's a win.
Mhm.
So when somebody doesn't know anything about emergency service, they say, those guys got out of there and they, acted like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's great. That's what I like to hear. So,
I do think maybe what our short-term goals are now, we've discussed, is that we're just bringing it back as a BLS. That's what was provided to them before.
Yeah.
And then hoping to ramp that up maybe like in the next year and a half to advanced.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still BLS, even with advanced
Mhm.
personnel.
Right.
You do gain
Right.
some more capabilities, some more drugs and whatnot,
Mhm.
but you're still technically BLS transport.
Right.
Going to an ALS service, which is paramedic,
Mhm.
you're talking a couple years out.
it's a whole nother animal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother animal, and you minimum, like if we started tonight, minimum 2 years.
Mhm.
And we don't have the run volume to
No,
justify having a paramedic
Not-
service either.
Not
So-
in our current situation.
Right.
but another thing that, I know we just wanna make sure that when we provide the service, that we're providing good service. We don't wanna get it out there and then be like, oh, we weren't ready to put this on, the road yet. And so one thing I had asked even Andy yesterday in the meeting was, since we still have the county contract there, can we still, even when our ambulance is out on this run, that they are just the backup? I mean, they're just coming to those calls because you never know,
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And you did assure us that we can do that. It just has to be set up in the system that way.
Okay, so hopefully next territory meeting, we'll have answers to questions that were brought to last meeting. And we discussed the build out upstairs, and we're still working on doing something there.
We did get Ron took it down to the building department and, he realized that when he got down there that it had to be cleared through the town. So Patrick did come over yesterday and signed off
Signed
on
off
that.
whatever
So
needed signed
it's
off.
now just a matter of him going back down and getting the building permit.
Okay, that's for the loft
That's for
area,
the-
That's
part of it,
just
yeah.
for the loft. Yeah.
and we're
We have
in,
not proceeded any further.
No.
okay,
So you're looking at, I think it came in roughly like at $15,000 to build the loft.
Mhm.
That's just a quick temporary fix.
right. Well, and I think with all that has been said at the meeting so far tonight, I think we do need to pursue getting some firm numbers
Mhm.
on the completing the upstairs of this section of the building.
Okay.
And I don't think that's gonna be something that is an immediate need, but I think if everything moves the way it tends to, it'd be nice to have those numbers for budget time especially. Anything else? Old business?
I was going over last year's budget, the expenditures. I just had a few questions since we had to pass it last month. And I didn't have time to really review it in depth and detail. I noticed that our NIPSCO bill was like almost $7,300. That seems pretty high.
Okay, let me question on the NIPSCO, is that just to the vendor themselves? Or is that under,
That's the total.
okay, so understand though, some of that is gonna be, you have the assistance into it.
No, it's not that, it's going line item to.
It is going, okay, that's what I was asking.
Without the assistance, no, I didn't do
Okay.
anything with them.
That's what I was asking. Are you looking at the vendor number or are you looking at the,
I was just going over the line item budget.
Okay.
We had for fire.
no, that's fine.
I just thought the NIPSCO bill was excessively high. And I noticed that the bay is set at 70 to 72 degrees. I'm wondering why the bay is set so high when it's a vehicle storage area, not a living area. We could save considerable amount of money by keeping that temperature down. You have any answers?
I just pay the bills.
I don't wanna get in a cold vehicle,
No.
right?
But they do use that as a training area and an area to sit and congregate, because we wanted, if somebody stopped by, we wanted them to be seen. And there is no alert system currently at this time upstairs. So that is one of the projects that is coming within the next 2 weeks, is getting it through the station, but we wanted guys downstairs. Don't disagree that it needs to be set at 70+ degrees, and it has been mentioned several times.
I do think though, maybe we do wanna have, cause I know last year, didn't you put on the in our capital improvement plan that we were gonna do something with the heat out there?
We were talking about replacing some heating units.
That tube heater on the south side is
It's done for.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think that with the changeover in the assistant chiefs, I think that's where you got lost. 'Cause I
Got
know-
lost in that.
Yeah, because the previous assistant chief was managing, he was getting,
Oh, no, I
I
just
don't
wondered
know.
if we were still gonna go forward with that. Cause I mean, I do know that there was a lot of fluctuation with heat, because I mean, you can be up here in the offices
Mhm.
and be freezing, and you can actually walk out, it's warmer like in the kitchen or in the bay. So I've had the guys try to look at why is there such a fluctuation,
well,
in your zones.
the thing is, there's 3 different, people don't realize there's like 4 different heating systems in this building. Complex, not just this building.
Mhm.
This one here runs this furnace for the office area only. One in the kitchen runs the kitchen and the bathrooms, the office bathrooms along the south wall.
Okay.
The third one runs the upstairs. Someone has come in and put kickdowns, which are against the fire code in all these doors. and they block the doors open, so now the kitchen's trying to heat the bays, or the bays trying to heat the kitchen. It throws the whole balance of the air system off of the building, what each individual unit was designed for.
Mhm.
And so when you do that, we're gonna be burning up furnaces somewhere, and we're gonna be replacing furnaces, because one's gonna run more than another, or whatever. So they need to isolate those areas out so that they function like they're supposed to function. If it's cold up here, then this thermostat should be turned up to accommodate this area up here, not open the door up so that another furnace runs more than another furnace.
Makes sense.
So that's how it was designed and set up.
Well, I think in the meantime, probably ought to look at, and I know we're getting into the summer season, so there's no urgency, but we need to look at getting that heater finished up, that job in the apparatus bay.
That needs to be done because it's cracked and our CO potentially
I
coming.
don't think it's being used at this time. I think it's off.
Well, now, but I'm just saying, it's been cracked. The joints
I see that.
toward the east end are deteriorated to the point where
How long has it been?
I put it in way back, but 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's beyond its service life,
Yeah.
Well beyond.
so. But that item's been approved last year to do some furnace work, so if we can get that on the agenda to get taken care of, I think that will help, and then we can look at some of these other things, because I'll guarantee next month's gas bill will be less, so. But, yeah, you're right. You're right.
What is your policy on washing and cleaning the fire trucks?
When it comes back from a run, it should be washed, but yeah, if it's cold and nasty out, like we're not gonna wash it 25 times a day.
Well,
It should be done at least minimum once a day.
for them to sit all evening and all through the night till the next day, I think is excessive, leaving that salt sitting on these trucks.
At minimum, they've been told to rinse them off. We don't, like I said, we're not getting into the business of washing them 10 times a day, so.
Oh, totally.
As long as they're done once and at least rinsed off when they come, that's how it should be.
Okay, because I know the tanker and the brush trucks sat here for a month without being washed with mud on their doors.
I don't think the brush trucks moved them.
Okay, exactly.
Okay.
That's my point. That if
Well,
we're paying people to be here, then I think they need to be taking care of the
I
equipment.
believe
also.
that this board's purpose is to worry about finances and budgeting and not fire department operations.
Well, to a point,
So,
yes.
so that conversation could probably be had outside the meeting. How about that?
That's fine.
I know right now they're in the middle of spring cleaning, so
Right.
they're cleaning out all the cabinets and everything else at the moment.
Okay, anything else under old business?
I was gonna look at logging, and he said old business. Everybody looks at me.
New business is over, Mike, so that's the only thing I can do for you, pal. Okay, public comments? Questions, concerns?
A lot of questions, but those questions are gonna be specific questions that I'm gonna have to figure out
Okay,
at some point.
no, we're here to help.
There's a lot of abbreviations that are going on that I don't know, so.
That's the fire service especially, they've got acronyms for things that you
Yeah.
can't, I gotta use a cheat sheet too. So,
When it comes to the different pensions,
mhm.
I don't have a clue what one is as opposed to the other.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, that is a discussion for Kelly or George's versed on that particular, Andy even.
Yeah, I would say Andy.
And those guys would know more about that, so be able to help you out.
Well,
I mean, kind of roughly what I could say is if you're in the Indiana Public Employee Retirement Fund, the township's putting 11.2% into that pension fund, and then they're contributing up to 10%, but it's a mandatory 3%. If we go into the 77 fund, I want to say the rate this year is 23% that the township would contribute.
I believe that's roughly.
with the
Which is
idea,
another pension fund.
it's a totally different pension fund, but you have to choose which one are you gonna be part of. With the 77, that comes with a lot higher restrictions, like age requirements. I think you have to be 20 years vested into that to retire,
Yes.
versus if you are part of the PERF, it's only a 10-year. So the advantage of having the PERF for our department, at least just starting with the PERF, was that we don't have any age restrictions. So when you go into the 77, you are now going downstate, you're having a physical, you're having a psychological evaluation? I mean, they're running you through all of these tests before they put in there. But with that, you're getting a better pension and a better insurance, correct?
I don't know about the insurance, but you get better.
Okay, I was
at the
thinking that they
end, you
had
get
like
better retirement.
a higher insurance. So that's the biggest difference, is the amount of money that would be contributed into their pension fund. But it does, like they said, it gives you that longevity of the employee, because now you're bringing in more of the youthful, like 40 years and younger. I mean, I could sit and negate a little bit that we have a lot of very experienced people out here that are part of the PERF, that if we were going 77, it would knock them out of here. I mean, so I mean, it's,
I don't know if you can offer both.
Yeah.
you can offer it at the beginning, but as
Yeah.
soon as you start losing
Right.
your PERF, it's 77 coming back in.
Mhm.
The 77 is what they're referring to as the Indiana State Police and Fire Pension. That's what they call it, 77. They had two, in 1936 when they started it, the cities used to pay out of the 1936 pension. On 77, the state changed everything, and now your state goes to the state of Indiana, is where your pension comes from, on the 77 afterwards. But yeah, on the police and fire pension, it's more restrictive. You have to be under a certain age, you have to meet all these qualifications, because of the fact that they don't want you to go out here in a year or two on an unknown injury that you've had, and all of a sudden you're pensioned off at 50% for the rest of your life. So they really protect that fund, so that they make sure that you're really
No,
fit
that makes sense.
for the job, yeah.
But you can't run two pensions
At the same time, no.
at the same time.
As
Yeah,
long-
you can't be in like the private sector or the public sector, however you wanna look at
Right.
it. The PERF, which we offer now, is offered to all state employees,
Mhm.
teachers,
Mhm.
highway workers, whatever. And then the 77 is just for police and fire. So right now, we're offering this, the retirement over here is better with the 77. That's what we're hoping to get to at some point.
Mhm.
Okay, I get it.
But right now, if we transition, I mean, if the board decides, let's do it for 2027 or 2028, we can move forward with our employees out here who already are in the PERF, the public. They can remain in, I think we just have to come up with like a resolution saying that, we're now going to the 77. But they are the only ones that are grandfathered into that PERF program. So then as soon as we open up any hiring process, anyone that gets hired in, they either can do a lateral transfer to us, meaning they come from another department that's 77 and we can bring them right to us. And then if they don't lateral, then we bring them in as a new employee, but then we send them downstate and they go through all the medical testing, the psychological testing.
So that will be the standard moving forward.
We're hoping
That would be
well.
the standard if you went to that.
If we like to go that way.
And what we're thinking is we're losing a lot of people to that pension in another department.
Interesting, okay.
But one of the decisions I
So-
think that has to be made with that is, yeah, you're losing your people, but you also have to look at what we said on budget wise. I mean, we have to look at what we're getting into our levies. I mean, the state's not gonna allow us to increase this levy, without looking at other avenues of increasing it. And at that point, I mean, I would say definitely you as a board, when you're looking into your budgets, you need to be looking at what is your quick fix, which is now, what is your 2-year, and what is your long-term? Because long-term, for us to be able to substantially be able to provide a 77 fund with 4 employees, you better be looking at other townships to merge with,
Uh-huh.
because we need to get our levies up, we need to get our tax rates up.
How many other townships around here, Kelly, have 77?
St. Joe.
It's your bigger fire territory.
Well,
We got
And-
South Bend,
South Bend,
South
Mishawaka,
yeah.
St. Joe.
Okay.
New Carlisle.
New Carlisle.
New Carlisle.
just went to it.
so I mean, it's becoming the standard for, and even the city of South Bend lost people to St. Joe County Fire because of that 77, they lateral transferred out. It really doesn't cost them anything because their pensions continues to build just as it has. And if their base pay is greater than what it was with the city, that's even better yet. That's what our competition is a smaller fire territory. I mean, probably in the future, we're gonna be merging with someone else also. It's the way the world is right now.
So some of the other departments having the same problem? You think?
They're struggling. They're
Everybody
struggling.
in this area.
Yeah, even the guys who offer 77 are struggling, but they're getting more lateral transfers. That's why Clay Township, or Clay Fire Territory merged with Penn Township because they can reset their budget levy and get their pay up, their base pay up and their pension up for their employees, because they were losing guys to South Bend, Elkhart, Mishawaka, somebody who has greater tax base. It's, the whole thing's a shell game is all it is, when you're done with it. And I know we're a small community, but we wanna do the best that we can.
Sure.
That's a juggling act. That's a juggling act there.
With the state doing what they're doing with funding things, stuff, it's tightening the noose around smaller community stuff, and that's why people
Now, I do think
jumping
there's,
out, forming bigger territories, just kind of spread the wealth throughout the whole.
Sure.
right, I do think that there's some funding mechanisms, some options pretty much enclosed at this point of the year that offer funding for staffing that could be an avenue for us in the future. And I think we need to start looking at that, getting some funding, state funding to help us pay for employees. And if that, I don't know how it all works because there's about 8 or 9 different funding mechanisms that the state offers. That's all I'm gonna say about that, but we're looking at all options.
have we heard how Senate Bill 270 is going to affect us?
I don't think it'll affect us.
I don't think it'll
So it
affect
shouldn't
us.
affect
I've
us.
heard how it will affect others in the community, but not us. I don't think
I mean,
we're in
it's
fear.
doing their analysis. We won't know for another year or two, but I looked at it, I've analyzed it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have, you need 4 points. I don't even remember close to 4 points.
Okay. Want to schedule a next meeting? Do we have anything we need to schedule a
Well,
meeting for?
I would say you probably gonna wanna schedule after your fire territory meeting, just so that you can bring back what you know from the territory meeting on how you go forward with your ambulance. And then you could, we're in April now, we are going to be going into pre-budgeting. So just to give you a little heads up, once I close out June, I will be running all of the pre-budget financials. And then at that time, I can throw that in front of you as a board to show you where we are financially. And then, I know that chief usually just comes in with like his wants, needs, and what we need to do. And then, of course, we'll have to take the fire side of it to the territory for their discussions.
Right.
They'll approve it, then it'll come back to you as the board. So I guess you need to determine, do you want to have a meeting after the territory meeting?
When's the territory meeting?
Don't remember.
April 28th. Which is the last Tuesday of April. Do we want to tentatively set a township board meeting for the first week in May? Just throwing out ideas.
Is it 5th?
May the 5th, which is it's also Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Your Mexican have that.
You wanna shoot for the 5th at 5:30? Is that, anybody have any conflict with that?
Territory range, April 28th at 5:30.
Yes.
May trustees meetings at
The 5th at 5:30?
5:30.
Okay.
That is one thing I did wanna ask. I know we're in an election year, but I do think that it would be beneficial, and I don't know, I mean, you can determine this, but they do have these ITA conferences downstate, which I think are very beneficial for board members to be part of. I try to go to like every other year, so I went last year, but, you can make a decision and let me know, cause we will be doing the signups for that here, like in the next 2 months. If anyone.
It's a very good meeting.
If it, and it's something, even if you just went down the night before and just stayed the one day for all of the little breakout conferences, it just really gets you educated on your roles as board members. So, and that's usually about middle of September.
Yeah, the 3rd week, so 20th, I think, was the last. I've been to one in the past, and so as far as a board member, some of the stuff is over your head because you're not in that seat. But the networking and the resources there are pretty neat to be aware of.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing, I know me and Ryan went to one of those when we were on the board, is you learn that your role as a board member isn't just to sit here and raise your hand, yes and no. You, as a board, actually set the budgets. I mean, you're the ones looking at your levies, your rates, you're setting the budget. You're taking what pretty much I'm bringing to the table and Chief's bringing to the table and saying, okay, here's what we've spent, here's what we need to spend. And then you're making the decision on whether that can happen and where it would put us tax wise. Prior to that, it was more just, here, sign it, be done,
Yeah.
so.
Very informative. Anything else?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Almost wanted to say bite 'em.